Hello and welcome back on my YouTube channel, Pardushi Learning by Day. So you might have seen that I have uploaded many videos on UiPath apps if you have been constant follower on my YouTube channel, and I have uploaded on many different topics of UiPath apps. But still, I get questions from community people that how to do this basic thing, or if this is possible in UiPath apps or not, or how can I achieve this, or where actually can I use UiPath apps, how I can start learning it. Though there are academic courses, though there are many different tutorials on UiPath apps, but they are scattered. They are not structured in one single video or in one single course. So I thought, why not create one crash course for UiPath apps? Now, this video, it is going to definitely be a long video. There are many different things that I'm going to cover in this video, but this video will help you build the complete fundamental knowledge that you need to start a UiPath apps project in your organization. It could be video of 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes. I'm not exactly sure about that, but yeah, it is definitely going to be a long video. So we are going to learn many different things. We are going to learn what are different types of apps, that is legacy app, VB app, what is different between them, how you can migrate them, or what are the advanced feature in VB apps, what are the latest feature in general in UiPath apps, and many different things. So let's get started with all of it and learn and be an expert in UiPath apps. To start with UiPath apps, you just need an automation cloud account of UiPath. When you click this options tab, you will see apps over here. I'm going to open it in a new tab. Okay. Once you do it, there's an option to create a new app. So when you click that, you will see two options, expression language VB and legacy. So as you know, when in Studio, we create a project, right? We see two options that you want to use VB.NET language or you want to use C Sharp. In the similar way, here we have two expression languages. Legacy is something that came new when UiPath product team launched the UiPath apps product. But after that, it gives you an ability to write similar kind of VB expressions that you could write in Studio, link queries, and many different things. All that advanced features are supported in VB apps. So that is the different over there. Here, you also have an option to import a file. If I've created a UiPath apps project and I want to share that with you, so once I export it and send it, like, let me close this. If I click on this, and if you see share and export, you can do that. So once I click on that, there are two options, VB and legacy, and you can import as well. You can click on import, and if you see, I have many different apps. You can create public app as well. This app will be available to users outside my organization. For that, the licensing also becomes different. In the normal apps, you can use attended licenses. Here, it will consume app units. That is something that is a complete different topic and conversation, but just so that you know about it, you can create a public facing app as well. Yeah, so these are the basic things of how you can create an app. Now I'm obviously going to create a VB app, Crash Course Apps 2024, and I'm going to click on create. And here you will see something that is called as with autopilot as well. We will come to that. Here, now if you see, there are many different templates that you can choose from. Blank page, form D, header and content, headers and two columns. This is something that UiPath has introduced you. Dashboard, form, BC, dialog model. If you see this something relates to a call center kind of or customer support, then there is another form over here, and there are many different templates, and you can use as many of them you want, right? So let me just choose one of them. I'll just select this. Once you do that, you can just press the enter button and it will create the app for you. Now, how are these different controls there? What are different controls we have? What are different elements that we can add? We will deep dive into that. But if you see right now, we have this form. If you click on this preview button, you can see the preview of your app before you want to publish. Here you can give search option. Here you can put your company logo, images supportable. Then there are these different fields that you can add, different options you can give, and there are many different things that you can do. So this is what we have used a template. But what if I'm not using a template and I want to drag and drop elements on my own? I'm going to click on this drop down option over here, and you will see there are many different options over here. You can add a new page. You can import a page. So there is option to export the page and import it in another app. How we saw in the initial phase that you can export an app and import while you are creating. In the similar way, you have that option for the individual pages as well. Then there are controls. Entity is the data service entity. Connection is the integration service connection. Process is the process that you publish to orchestrator. Then storage buckets, queues, action, UiPath actions. You can that would be a little advanced topic. I will not deep dive into that in right now. You can add a variable. You can add media that are images. For now, I'm going to add a page, and I'm going to add a blank page. So this is my complete app canvas that I have over here. Here my pages, variables, process, queues, storage buckets, everything will be displayed. And here we have three tabs: general, events, and styling. Styling, in general, you will have the basic like label, fields, input values, and all that. In events, we will deep dive into events soon. And then there is style. You can give different type of styling. You can give background color. I can choose, like many different colors if I want to. If I try to pick some UiPath color, right? And there are different ways you can give it in X value and all of it. So if I just navigate to UiPath's website, I'm going to just try and find the color. This is RGB 250, 70, and 20. If I come over here, something like this. So here are different options that you can give. I'm going to just make it to a lighter color. All right, that's okay. Not spending more time on. All right. So these are different things that you can do. Now, when I come over here, the controls are divided into four different categories: input, display, container, and icons. You can give different types of icons. I'm going to keep this panel open. There are more than 150 icons, I would say. So yeah, there are. What is containers, display, input? We'll deep dive into each one of them. In input, we have different options. We have an option to add a button, checkbox, custom HTML, date picker, drop down, file uploader, multi-select drop down, radio button, rich text editor, slider, switch text area, text box, text email, text number. There are a lot, many different things, and I think all of them definitely serve the basic purpose of components that you need to create an app, like drop downs, multi-select drop down sliders, switch cases, and many different things. Okay, then there is this display option. If you see over here, custom list divider, document viewer, edit grid, file downloader, headers, iframe. If you are versed with HTML and CSS, I think most of us who have done engineering or who have studied computer science, they have known about iframe or HTML or CSS. So you have that kind of different options, and And then there is table and tabs. Containers are basically used to structure your apps when you want to divide your apps into different categories, like one for greater than 18 or less than 18 age people. And when you want to divide things in that way, you want to have components in different panels, you can do that. So that is one thing. And then there is page container and icons, as I said. Okay, so these are all the basic things. Now, when I click over here, I have an option to add an entity. It will ask me to select my tenant, and then I can add the data service entities, whichever I want and how many ever I want. And you have direct activities to that as well. So these are the things that define the basic structure and functioning of an UiPath. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on add control and let's add an header over here. So I'm going to click and drag and drop header. So it's a simple drag and drop. I'm going to rename it to main header. Once you click on here, in general, you have an option to change the text of the header. You can add a tooltip as well. What is tooltip? When you hover over that element, there is some tip written that, okay, this is to be used in this way, or when we have instructions, like in a normal application that we use, a web application, we have that. I'm going to change this to UiPath Apps Crash Course 2024 by Pardoshi, learning by Do. All right. So if you see, I have added that in event. I don't want to create an event. We'll deep dive into that. What is event and how you can do that later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the headline to 1. So you have different option over here. Let's keep it to 2. We are going to make it bold. The color is slightly not black, so I'm going to make it complete black. You can push it to center. You can right align it. You can keep it in this way. There are all the different options. We will keep it in center. If I scroll down, then there is this options when you are using it in container that will be helpful. You can underline it as well. We will do that. And then there is margin and size. This is only to be used when it is actually required. It's not necessarily you will have to always use that, right? So I have just added a header right now. We are going to preview it just to see how does it look. Oh, okay. So now the thing is that it launches the main page. Now, initially we had created this and this is our main page. And what I'm going to do is this new page, I'm going to click on this and set it as start page. So once that is done, I will delete this one. Let me delete that and I'm going to preview. Okay, so if you see, we have added the header and now we'll work on the further things. Okay. Now what we are going to do is let's create a basic form. Normally, when you create any app or when you will be working on a project, is you might have to use text boxes, drop downs, and many that kind of things, right? So we are going to do that now. What we will do is I'll click on add control, and now I'm going to use a content, and we are going to bring it to center. All right. So how I have added my header, I have added this as well. In add control, the very first thing that I want is a text box, and it's going to be a normal text box. So I'm going to add this text box over here. Now I will go to general properties. If you want to mask the inputs for password, you have that option over here, but I don't have to do anything as such. Label, I'm going to replace it with name. Okay. In style, I want to make it bold. I'm going to make it bold. And hint text, we are going to give it as. So in hint text, if you see, I will click over here, open expression editor. Please enter your full. Okay, so that is the hint text over. Now, what are the validations we have? Let's see that. You can provide a minimum and maximum length. So minimum, I'm going to say is going to be 2 because I don't think anyone can have a one letter name, but yeah, that is still possible. And maximum, we are not going to keep it any limit, but still we are going to keep it as 80. Let's keep it as 80. Is the value required? Yes, it is. So you are going to click on this, open expression editor, and you can change it to true. Once you do that, it is a required field. Custom error message. Do you want to give a custom error message? Yes, I want to give. I just don't want to display the required field, but I want to give it as please enter your first name. And you can pause the video and build this app along with me if you're watching it, right? So you can give different properties, hidden and disabled. If you want to disable a field or if you want to hide a field, how you can do that dynamically, we will cover that in this course. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Now name is something that we have. Now we are going to add another control that is going to be input and that is going to be email. So again, the same things over here and I'm going to change this to email. Required is going to be true. Allow domain and block domain. This is one of the amazing options that I have seen. And I had created a LinkedIn post on this as well. Let me show you that. Okay, so here is it where I'm talking about that we can provide the allowed domains over there. What I'm going to do over here is new list of string. Going to close this, open this, and in bracket, I'm going to provide gmail.com. Okay, so I'm specifying the list which is allowed domain. Here also in hint text, I have to give hint text. Please enter your email ID. All right. Again, the field is required and custom error message is going to be the same. Email ID missing. This is what we should change for name as well. Name is missing. All right. In email ID, any other configurations? No, we don't want to do any other configurations over here. All right. Now, these are the two things that we have taken. What we can one more take is date of birth. So I'm going to use this. Hint text is over here. Please enter your date of birth. Date of birth. One thing we missed for email in styling, we are going to make it bold, the color to black. This one also will make bold, the color to black. Required, yes, everything is required for us. I'm going to make it true. Max date, mean date, I'm going to leave it. Date of birth is missing. Okay, and nothing else. One final thing that we are going to take from user, again, it is going to be a text box, but a number. Experience in RPA. Okay, okay, style, I'm going to make it bold. Please enter your total experience in RPA. Going to save it. required is going to be true, and this is going to be total experience missing. So that I'm going to click on save, and rest everything will be as it is. Now on button. Okay, button also we are going to keep it center aligned, and you can have an option to have this block button. So if you see this is a normal button, block button, and you have different options over here. Green would look weird, but we can have this. The text and you can have border, you can change the font if you want to. We are going to keep it default. Button. I'm going to give it as register. All right. So now I have created it. Before doing anything, I'm going to just preview it. So let me preview the app. I'm going to close this other too. So if you see, everything is required over here. And if I just go through it, then email ID missing, date of birth missing, total experience missing. When you just pass that field and don't enter the data, it will show this custom error message. So this is how you can configure the custom error message as well. Now I'm going to enter parth@abc.com. Date of birth, I'll just enter something and I'll put this as 3. So here our message is not getting displayed of the email ID since this message is already there. So we'll check that as well, that how we can display that particular message. Now, coming back to our app, what you can do now, this data can be used in 3 different ways. Okay. One, you can pass this data to your process, to your UiPath Studio process, and you can write that data in an Excel file. So this can be one of the end goal of the inputs that you are taking from app. In this case, it is the registration details, but in other scenario, it could be anything else as well. Right. So that is one thing. The second thing is you can take this data and write this data in a data service entity. That is the second thing that you can do, that this data is submitted in the data service entity. Third, what you can do is you can add this data to queue. If you want from app, the data to directly go to the queue. So there are these 3 different things. One, take this data, pass it to a process in the arguments, and then write it in an Excel file. The second, take this data, add it to a data service entity. Third is take this data and add it to a orchestrator queue. So now we are going to do all these 3 different things one after the other. The very first one, we'll start with how we can create a process, publish it, and then write a data to that. So let's open our UiPath Studio. Everything we are going to name it as Crash Course Apps Crash Course 2024. And I'm going to create a Windows and a VB project. Opening the main workflow. Now I'm going to have 4 arguments: name, email, date of birth, and experience. Okay. So also let's rename these controls. We'll give it as name, so that when we use it in our references, it will be easy. Rename this to date of birth. This is always a best practice. Consider this as your studio variables, right? So it is always better that you name them clearly. Submit or register could be anything. Okay. So first is going to be name. The second is going to be email. Third is going to be date of birth. Fourth is going to be experience. This I'm everything will be in, but this I'll make integer. Date, what we will do is we'll convert it to string and pass it over here. So that I just want to show the conversion of date time to string, how we can do that using VB expressions over there. So that is the reason I'm keeping it as a string over here. And sorry, this is going to be in only. I'm going to create an out argument as registration number. Obviously, when you are registering, we will have the registration number. So we'll just display it in the app. And I'm going to make this as out. Now, obviously, what we have to do over here is use a build data table activity. I'm going to rename it as registration details. We are going to take four things over here. Name, email, date of birth. This we are going to change it to experience. All right. So we have four things defined over. Add data row. We are going to take it as user details, and our data table will have to create one. Well, here it is going to be the same. Name, email, oops. All right. So we have four of them. Let's do one thing. Let's keep this as well as string. Let me click on OK, and we will take this as string. And now it is done. So this is done. What we are going to do is use an assign statement over here. Here, now we need a registration number. So we are going to use that. And in this out, it is a string. Let's see what we can. So I'm going to write new random dot next, and what we will do is we will specify something as 1000 comma 10,000. So we're going to do that. Okay, and this complete thing, let's convert it to dot to string. Okay, so right now I'm doing the very basic thing. There are many advanced things that we can do with process. There is real-time communication, and there are many different things. But since this crash course is focusing completely on the fundamentals and the basic things, we are focusing on that, right? So yeah, we have this assign statement that is our out number, and we have everything. So I'm going to now publish this process. So you have to do the very straightforward steps. personal workspace field, and I'm going to publish it. Okay, it is published. I'm going to navigate to my orchestrator just to validate that we have it. Apps Crash Course 2020. Now you need to come to your app, click on this, click on process. Obviously, my tenant is this self-employed default, and use other orchestrator tenant. You can provide the complete details as well. But I'm going to use this and click on next. In my personal workspace, I have apps crash course, and I'm going to click on add. Once I do that, my process is successfully added to my apps. Now, how to execute it, we will deep dive into that. But I hope till here, if you have followed the complete video, everything is clear and there are no questions. If there are any, please feel free to put them in the comment sections, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well that, hey Parth, I was watching your UiPath Apps crash course and I have this doubt at this particular timeline. So I will be happy to help. Once you have added your process, when I want to run this process, I want to run it when the register button is clicked. So I'll go to that register button on events. I'll go to create rule. Here you have many different options. If you see set value, show message, open a page, close pop over or bottom sheet, open URL, show hide spinner, if then reset, create entity record, we'll see that in data service. But the important one is start process. And if you see add to queue, there are many different things. And I'll try to see if I can cover everything in this one video. If not, I'll create a second part of this video as well. So I'm going to click on start process. Here in processes, I have apps crash course. So what I did is I used start process, click this processes, apps crash course. I'm going to run it unattended. You can run it attended as well. And then here there are different options. Execution target, if you want to select any specific machine, you can give that. I don't have anything as such. Input override, it's something that is very important for us. When started, suspended, completed, errors. These are different things that we have. So we'll start with this. Here, when you click on this processes, input argument, name. So I'll just do that again. You have to click on this processes, this process, and name, item, email, date of birth, and experience. Now we are going to pass that values over here. First, what I have to pass? Obviously, the user might have entered in my process, right? So if you click on this, here are different options. Now we have used our control. If I click on control, you'll see I have name control. And in that, there is an option of value. So if I select that, it will write the expression for me. But I'll show you what the expression is. Open expression editor. Click on this, open expression editor. Write the page name. Our page name is new page dot name, the control name. That is the reason I gave it a proper naming convention. Name dot value. And click on save. That's it. Same I'm going to do over here. This is email, controls, email, value. Date, controls, date of birth. It will dot value dot to string. All right. Controls, experience, value. Does it give any error? No, it does not, because it converted it to string since my input type is string. Here, open expression editor, did it give any error? No. All right. So what I've done is I've configured all my input arguments over here. Now, what about output argument? That is one question that we all have, because output argument will have the registration number, which we want to display it to the user. Now, before that, what we are going to do is, obviously, when this process starts, right, we just don't want user to wait. we want to give them a good user experience as well. What we will do is we will show a spinner, a loading spinner, that your registration is being processed, right? So how can you do that? Click on this, use a show or hide spinner, keep this visibility as true, and give the message, please wait while we register, while we submit your details for registration. So that is when started. When suspended is not going to be in our case. When completed, you have to use the same activity, but this time you have to set the spinner to false because we want the spinner to get disappear as well. We just don't want it to see again and again. So that is there. And in case of error as well, you have to turn off the spinner. So I'm going to do false. And when the process is completed, if it is successfully completed, we will show a message. Okay. The title, you can configure registration successful. Save. Message. Now pay attention over here. This is going to be little important. Your registration number is, and you have to use the same VB.NET syntax that we use in our UiPath Studio processes as well. Okay. Here you have to write processes. This is the syntax to fetch any output argument value when you have executed a process. Processes dot your process name dot the argument. So this is the syntax. Any process that you run, anything, not only this, any process that you run, if you want to get the values of the output arguments, it could be data table. You can store the data in app variables. You can do anything, but you have to follow this particular step. Your registration number is processes dot the process name dot the output argument, and click on save. I'm going to display this message till 8 seconds so that we know we have executed things correctly or not. So here I have successfully configured a process that will be executed on my submit button. Just to reiterate and recap what we did till now. We created a form, we used a header, we used 4 different fields, 3 are of type text boxes, 1 of text, 1 of type email, 1 of type number, 1 is a date of birth. We used a button on which we will run a UiPath process wherein what we are going to do is we are going to submit the details for registration, take the output as an output argument, and display it in our UiPath message. So I'm going to click on preview over here now. Name, I'm going to write Parth Doshi, PRTH@gmail.com. This is not my correct email, so please don't spam anyone with that. And I'm going to write my date of birth. This is the correct one. You guys can wish me on that day, that is 4th November 1999. Experience is also 3. I'm going to click on register. Please wait while we submit your details for registration. So now the process bot execution should start. Let's see in orchestrator. It says pending. I think there is some issue in my license allocation that I have. What I'm going to do is we will try one more other thing. Edit rule, make it as attended. Okay, things remain the same. And let me open my UiPath App Assistant. This is there. Okay. Let's try if it works in the attended mode. I'm going to preview it again. In name, you can also use a regex so that no one can write a special character. So let me select this. And register. Open UiPath robot. Your registration number is 9880. So I'll just use the attended mode because I have been doing some things in my orchestrator and the license allocation has some issue. So the unattended version is not working over here. So unattended is just going into the pending state. But if you see, it was successful and the message was displayed that your registration number is 9880. So what we did right now is we successfully created an app right from scratch, and we learned about different controls and how to execute a UiPath Studio process on button click, pass the input arguments and pass the output arguments back to the app as well. So this was one of the basic thing, but yet very important, which many people might face issue with. And since things have changed in the VB apps, people who have previously worked on the UiPath apps version, it might be a problem for them. So yeah, this is how you can do that. Again, I don't think it requires a recap now. So we'll move on to the next part that we had planned. Now we are going to write this same data to the data service. Here we won't have the registration confirmation number or something like that because we are just adding the details to the data service. All right. So now if I want to add data to data service, I will have to also create a data service entity. So I'm moving to my data service. Apps crash course 2024. All right. So I have created this. Now we are going to make one new interesting change for the data service as well. We'll do that later on. First, we'll follow the normal pattern. What create new field, name, it is required. Create new field, email. Click on save. Create new field, and it is going to be, I think, date of birth. And create new field, and it is going to be the experience. So I have four fields: name, email, date of birth, and experience. I'll come back to my app, click on this, click on entity. Apps crash course 2024. Click on add. So what I did, I clicked on this drop down, clicked on entity, selected my entity, and that's it. Okay. Now, if you see when I added the entity, the apps crash course entity I've added, but it also added one more default entity, system user. Now, what is that? If I go to my entities and system user, it automatically stores your data over here in system users, right? So currently, whichever user is using the system, his details will be visible over there. So you can use that to show custom details to the app users and everything. Now on register button, I'm going to click on edit rule. This I'm going to disable it for now since we are not going to use it. And I'm going to use here another thing. So you have three different options over here: create, update, and delete. So what you can do is you can create an entity record, update an entity record, and delete an entity record. There are three different things that you can do. For now, we are just going to focus on one, the basic one, that is create entity record. In that, You specify your entity, that is app crash course. Date of birth, email, experience, and name. Oh, we forgot to select the required for all of them. Let's see if we can do it now. Okay, yes, we can. This is just so that we don't miss out on the data and click on save. The same thing that you have to follow over here. Date of birth controls date of birth and value. Email controls email and value. Experience controls experience and value. Okay, one thing that we missed is if I go back into this, I'll have to refresh this. Now all of them are showing as required. Name controls name and value is what we are going to select. Save. When created, again, I want to show a message now when it is created. Successful. Your details have been submitted successfully. On error, I would like to show a message failed. Type will be a warning. Type will be a error actually, and message will be failed to submit your details. Please try again. And that's it. So now what should happen is, and it was pretty straightforward. You see, I used a create entity record, passed in my details that I want to enter, showing messages for better customer experience, and that's it. So once that is done, I'm going to preview my app now. And as we can see, there is no data over here. After we submit the details, there should be some data. So name is again going to be Parth Doshi. Email is going to be parth@abc.com. Okay, parth@gmail.com. Date of birth is going to be 1999 November 4. Experience is going to be 3. Your details have been submitted successfully. So that means our data service was able to, our app was able to successfully add the data. And I'm going to refresh this page. So if see email, date of birth, experience, and name. So now we have learned another interesting and a very important thing is how you can connect your app to your data service, how you can enter details in your data service. Here, now we will make one more modification. What if I want to take user's profile photo as well in my input? I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to write profile picture. The type is going to be a file. Okay. And I'm going to click on save. So if you see here, a image is also to be uploaded. Now we have to edit our app. I'll go on add control, input, and here I'll give an option of file uploader. Now, if you see add control, input, and file uploader is what I've done. I'm going to change this to profile picture. Max file, allowed file types is what the options you have. So you can provide the max file size. I'm going to keep it 3 MB, allowed file types, and I'm going to write this over. Profile picture, So here we are changing the text of this as well. This drop file uploadable here. I don't think this needs a bold. The black color should be okay. Coming back to general required. Yes, it is required. True. And I'm going to click on save. I'm not going to edit the message form. But now I have to refresh this because my data service has an additional entry now. So if I go to this register, go to events, clicked on, here there is profile picture. So I'm going to click on this controls, profile picture. And we have to pass the file over here. So we are going to select the value directly, profile picture dot value. So what you have to do, click this control, the file control which is there over there, and just directly select the value. So you have selected that. Now click on save now, close this and preview your app again. So that is how, in case where this can be used is when you want to perform a KYC verification, wherein you are taking the Aadhaar card and PAN card as an input from the user. So that will be passed to your process or to your data service. It will be uploaded. Once it is there in data service, you will take in the details. So and let's suppose the user has entered the Aadhaar card number and uploaded the image, and you have to verify that the Aadhaar card number that the user has entered and which is on the image, does that match or not? So in that case, you can take this file upload input. Why I'm showing this is just to show the capabilities of what all things can be done in UiPath apps. There are many different things, but it it will be unrealistic to cover everything in one single use case. So we are going to take a file and I'm going to upload this image. Okay, I think this is less than, and I'm going to click on register. Your details have been submitted successfully. If I go back over here, I go back to data and refresh this. See, image is uploaded over here. Now, if I click on download, right, it is downloaded. And if you see the same JPEG image, image 13 with that file name is available for me over here. So this is how you can add the file control image, and you can display have the data in the data service, and then from there it can be used in many different ways as and when you want in your process. So I hope this second part of adding the data to data service is also clear, and we have learned a file control as well. Now the third thing that we are going to do is adding the data from this form to our orchestrator queue. For that, what we will need is close this data service. We'll go to our queues. We'll create a new queue. I'll name it as apps crash course registration. Now, if you want to create a queue that should be added to your UiPath app, you will have to provide a specific data JSON schema. Because normally what happens is when we work with process, we can directly specify in our add queue item activity what all things we need to add. But here it will be slightly different. So you have to create a specific data JSON schema. So if I go over here, I have specific data file JSON schema, and a long time ago, let me do one thing. Let me copy this and paste it so that I can have it. All right, let me open that in my Notepad++. All right. So this is how our schema should be there. I'll try to see how I can share this, but yeah, if you Google it, you will easily get this format. So our different properties are, one is name, that is going to be of type string. Then other is going to be email. That will also be of type string. Next one is going to be date of birth. Here I'm going to add a comma, copy paste this. This is going to be experience. Now I need one more field. For what I'll tell, that is going to be my file name. Okay. And this all are going to be fine. So I'm going to save this. Why I need this file name, I'll come to that, because now we are taking the profile image as well in our app input. We will have to do something over here. In Q, obviously you cannot add an image, but I'm going to show one additional property or additional feature and integration of UiPath apps. So we'll get to that point. I've saved this and required name. Even if you don't keep that's okay, but we have kept it as name. Come back over here, browse for schema, select this and upload. And I'm going to click on add. Now this has been created successfully. I'll go over here, click on this, click on Q. Since I have to add that in personal workspace, I have a crash course registration and I'm going to click on it. So now if you see, because we have added schema, it was able to identify all the input elements that we have. So now let's do our thing. Okay. Now, what we are going to do over here is on registration button, we will add this item to queue. Okay. So let me go to registration button, click on edit rule. Again, we will disable this now. And you have an option add to queue. Indicate the queue that is going to be this. Now, there are many different things that I could do in this course, right? I could show you all the different controls, put them all in one of the case, but I don't want to do that. I just don't want to build this crash course for the sake of building it, because if you see, the video has already been going for an hour, but you might have not realized, but you have learned three very important things of UiPath apps. Anything that you do, these are the three things that you will have to do in that particular app. Either run a process, pass the input output arguments, either add the data to the data service entities, or create a queue item so that your another process can take that value. So these are the three very important things. The basic things which are there, we'll deep dive into that as well. So queues, and if you see, because of that JSON schema, it has become that easy to fetch all this data. Okay. Now, in name, obviously we have controls, name, value, email, controls, email, value, date of birth, date of birth, value, experience, controls, value. Now, what is the file name and why file name? See, now since you are adding the data to the queue, it is very obvious that a process will be running that will be taking the items from that queue data. Okay. What we will do is now we will create a storage bucket and we will add the file name to the queue. So when the process is running, it will use that file name and download the file from the storage bucket queue name, from the storage bucket. Okay. So apps crash course 2020. So how the structure will be now, let me show you. User opens app, submits the details, data added to queue, comma, file uploaded to storage buckets. This is what I'm going to build. Later, what will happen is process is executed. Process fetches the file name from queue and uses download storage file to download and use file process. This is how the architecture looks like when you use storage buckets. I hope this is clear. If you have any questions, the comment section is open and my LinkedIn DMs are open, so you can feel free to reach out to me. All right. So we have this create. I'll go over here, click on this, click on storage buckets, apps crash course. Okay. So we have added the storage buckets. Now on register button, before we add it to the queue, I'll upload the file to storage bucket. So I'm going to click on plus, upload file to storage bucket. File to upload uh, is going to be from controls, profile picture, and value. This is going to be the file. I don't want to auto generate the name. It will be controls, profile picture, value dot name. So I'm going to pass the same over there. So new profile picture dot value dot name will be my name. Obviously, when it has uploaded, I'm going to go over here. This is the next step that will happen. Controls, profile picture, value, value dot name. So that is how it is going to work. Now we are going to click on close. So you understood, right? On submit button, we will upload the file to storage buckets. Once that is done, our queue item will be added. So we have only two things enabled. I'm going to close this and click on preview. In the meantime, I'll just keep this open so that we can see. Now, this video I will probably end after covering two, three more topics, and I would like to see what is the feedback that I'm getting for this particular crash course that I'm creating. If I think that the feedback is good and this tutorial or this crash course was helpful, I'm going to create the second part of it, because I just don't want to create tutorials in a way that it is not helpful, or you know it is just not a 90-minute long video. I don't want to get into that part. So once I get a good feedback from community people on this particular crash course, then I'm going to cover more different things out of the apps crash course. Date of birth, sure, let's add that. Experience this, profile picture, click on register. Please provide the storage bucket in the rule again. Register over here. Storage buckets is something that we have not specified, so we have to do that. And I'll have to do close this again and preview. So here is where you have to provide the storage bucket. No problem. We will just quickly enter the details again. The file has been uploaded. Now the data will be added. Okay. So we forgot one thing over here. When transaction started added, we did not add any loader or anything. When it is successfully added to the queue or when it failed or anything like that. So let's browse the bucket. We have the file over here, image avatar underscore png, my workspace. I'm going to go to queues, apps extraction data. I'm going to go to view transaction, and there is no reference, but the item has been added. So if you see over here, we were able to successfully add the data to our orchestrator queue as well. I don't know. I'm just finding it very exciting when the things are working. And since I'm creating this kind of a video for the first time, a complete crash course and such a long video, it's I think been almost 70, 80 minutes the video has been going. And I'm really finding that the course is going in a very good way. So I'm happy about that. And you might see that excitement in my voice as well. So yeah, now we have learned the three most important things that you should know fundamentally about UiPath apps. We saw what are different types of controls, what are different types of apps. And then we deep dived into how to add a process to your app, how to pass input and output arguments. Secondly, we saw how to add the data to the data service entity, how to use the file upload feature or control, you can say, and upload the file to data service and how it can be reused in your process. And the final thing that we saw, how you can add the item to orchestrator queue. And in queue, we also saw the storage bucket integrations as well. Now here, till now, we have just discussed about adding the data and doing all these things, right? But in the further video, so like I said, if I get a good response on this video and I feel that, okay, this is helpful for majority of the audience, so that is the reason your feedback and your comments will be important on this video so that I create the next part of this video in another series. I'm going to give proper timelines in the YouTube so you don't spend time in watching it completely. If you want to watch a particular part, so the timelines will be there on the YouTube video that I upload. And I will be ending this video over here. For now, we will be covering many different topics. If you see in display, there are tables, there are custom lists. If I go to my channel, if you see, I have uploaded many different videos, creating config file for your apps, creating add to favorites feature, UiPath Apps custom list tutorials, import and export pages. There are many small and minute features that we have to still cover. There definitely will be second part of this video, but for now, thank you for watching the complete 80-90 minutes video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please do post your comments in the comment section and share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends, post it on LinkedIn, and let me know what's your feedback and response on this video. Thank you for watching the complete video. I'll see you in another video.